Yopanantha, and a very good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Stoke Kai Ras. Well, after two difficult trips on the road, Wrexham are back on home turf this afternoon. Watford making the long journey up from Hertfordshire. A team who haven't enjoyed themselves too much on the road this season, with just one win in the league. Phil Parkinson's side, of course, improving here at home, and we'll hope that gives them the opportunity this afternoon to register a win after two testing away trips. Andy Morell and Mia Roberts are alongside me as ever. Good to see you both. A difficult trip to Hull in midweek. Mia, you were there, of course. In a nutshell, where did it go wrong?
Yeah, I just don't think it was a good day really from a Wrexham point of view all over. I thought probably the only positive was Arthur Okonkwo again made some really good saves, as he has done over the last few weeks, really rescued us in moments, but apart from that really there wasn't really any other positive ones in there, which those can happen in this league, and it's all about the response, and we know this club and this team are so good at doing that, so hopefully they can do that again today.
We didn't really have the energy we normally have, for me, the intensity that we normally go with, and yes, it's been the first one really, I think, for the season that we've not really shown any of that, and so this is a great opportunity to put that right.
That was then, this is now. This afternoon, Watford are the opposition. Let's waste no time in having a look at the 11 named by Phil Parkinson to go into battle at 3 o'clock today, because the manager is bold in making 5 changes from the team who lost over in East Yorkshire in midweek. Dan Scarr drops out after a run of matches in the central centre-back role, so that will mean Dom Hyan switches across to the middle. Callum Doyle, who replaced Scarr at half-time in midweek, comes in at left centre-back. Ryan Longman makes a return for Ryan Barnett at right wing-back. Matty James is in for Ben Sheaf. Lewis O'Brien comes in for George Thomason, and up top Josh Windass returns in place of Nathan Broadhead. All 5 of those players make their place on the bench though, and they're joined by Ollie Rathbone, Sam Smith, Ryan Hardy, and as ever, substitute keeper Callum Burton. Andy, your reflections on Phil's alterations?
Yeah, well, sometimes there's a school of thought where you reflect on a performance and you run with the same again. You go, no, it's your chance to put this one right, because Wednesday was an anomaly, if you like. But I think he's just looked at the numbers, looked at how the group is, and gone, no, I'm going to have to go in and change this and freshen it up. There's players that are itching to play. And so there you go. Here's your opportunity at home against a tough Watford team. Go and produce, and let's get back to winning ways.
How much of Phil's decision-making do you think will be data versus gut feel? Because I'm sure he'll look with the coaches at miles travelled, minutes played, all those kind of stuff. But will there also be a bit about gut feel as to who can go again after a midweek game?
Yeah, absolutely. You do use your eyes, but I think the data backs up what you're seeing. So he'll see bits in training that he'll think, well, maybe he's just a little bit behind where he should be. But then the data behind that will probably prove him right or wrong either way. So that's what I would do. I would use my eyes to see, yes, they're all right. Oh, but they're not. They look a bit lower than that. I think that's the way they went. He went with the data on Wednesday and said, no, they all look fine. So that's why we went unchanged. And that's why he's reflected on that and looked back and gone, maybe I got it wrong.
Mia, as a left back yourself, I'd like to just get your thoughts on Callum Doyle, because he's come into the side again today to start. He's had a couple of opportunities off the bench coming on for Dan Scarr. He gets his opportunity to start today. What can he bring on that left-hand side that perhaps we haven't had in the last couple of games?
Well, I think first of all it's really important to give Dan Scarr and obviously Dom Hyam as well a lot of credit from what they've done in that back line since Callum Doyle's come
Absolutely.
out. What Doyle does bring is different into Dan Scarr, and it's probably more actually going forward, despite him being obviously the left side of a back three. What he gives you from that left side with that left foot, which is his preferred striking foot, is he can step forward on the ball and he can find those passes, and he did that straight away when he came on against Blackburn, and he did that straight away in the second half on Wednesday night at Hull, and immediately we saw how that changed the game, and it looked like Wrexham were going to be able to go on and get something. Obviously after the penalty miss, that sort of went away, and obviously Hull went away with all 3 points. But he definitely adds something in there, especially when you've got that back three, and we've seen it, how many times have we seen it with Max on the right side when he steps forward? Callum Doyle can absolutely do that, and I think he's just got so much quality with his feet.
Well, we had the chance a few minutes before we came on air on Matchday Live today to catch up as ever with Phil Parkinson and get the manager's perspective on this afternoon's game and the rationale behind his changes. Good afternoon, Phil. Back here at the Stoke Kairos after 2 difficult away trips. What are you looking for from your side this afternoon?
Yeah, a reaction from the other night. Resetting our standards. We've been great. Over quite a long period, and just getting back to how I know we can play. Freshness in the team. Want to see that energy in our pressing, the detail of our play in and out possession. It's got to be right today, and if it is, we'll have a great chance.
You mentioned the freshness in the side. You've made 5 changes today, so just to run through those changes. Doyle in for Scar at the back first. Thinking behind that?
Yeah, I think first of all, Scarry's been brilliant for us, and I just felt that we need Doyley's quality of his passing and the balance of having the left footer there today, and also as well, it's that bit of freshness as well. But Doyley's worked hard since he's been out. He did great when he came on against Blackburn. He did well the other day, and deserves the opportunity today.
And in central mid, Matt James comes in for Ben Sheaf and Lewis O'Brien for George Thomason. Again, is that just about freshening with miles in the legs?
Yeah, definitely. I think Wednesday was a tough game in many respects, and I just felt we need to get some freshness in that midfield area today. And putting in 2 really good players. Dub, obviously we brought off a little bit earlier on Wednesday, so he didn't go the full 90. Nothing more than that really.
And the last 2, Longman for Barnett and Windass for Broadhead.
Yeah, I think with Broady, he's played the full 90 on Wednesday on the back of the tough game against Preston, and it's just Josh is a very good player, and it's just that bit of freshness in the team, and I don't want to get Broady injured by overstretching him. He's been great, but I feel it's the right decision. And Barney, very similar really. He hadn't played for a long time. He then plays against Preston, and again on Wednesday. To ask him to go the 3 in 7 after not really having that kind of bank of first team football in his legs, I think it's quite tough. And Longy's recovered from his illness, and he's raring to go.
When I saw you at the press conference yesterday, Phil, you made a remark that said Watford can sometimes be a little bit difficult to read in terms of how they set up and how they play. Having seen their team list today, has that given you any more clues?
It looks like he's stuck with his 4-4-2 with 2 out-and-out strikers at the top of the pitch. Right back is ill, so centre-back's playing right back. He's played there before. They seem to have stiffened up the midfield a little bit with a more kind of a midfield player playing on the right rather than an out-and-out wide player. But obviously we don't know till the game kicks off, but that's my prediction in terms of how they're going to set up today.
Phil, thanks so much for joining us. We'll hopefully catch up with you at full time.
Thanks, Chris. Cheers.
Wrexham manager Phil Parkinson giving his thoughts ahead of today's battle with Watford, a team also working hard to get into the top half of the table. Both of these sides at the moment battling it out in the middle regions of the Championship table. Andy, one of the changes Phil making today, a return for Josh Windass in for Nathan Broadhead. The 2 of them have been interchanged by Phil quite often this season. How would you compare what Josh Windass brings and how he's a foil for Kiefer Moore versus the style of play of Nathan Broadhead?
Well, I think both of them are very, very good players, and it's not a bad decision to have to make for a manager. For me, Broadhead's a little bit more to feet, a little bit more of a dribbler, finds a few pockets, and I think Windass plays up alongside Kiefer Moore a little bit better. He reads the flick-ons. He plays with Kiefer a little bit more than maybe a Broadhead. I think, talking about Doyle before, Doyle made Broadhead's game go through the roof on Wednesday night because he was able to receive the ball in those pockets, because Doyle can get him the ball because he's a decent passer. Windass, I think, plays a little bit more of a striker, second striker if you like, and plays in and around him and picks up bits and has the quality to deal with that. That's why I think they've had a better relationship so far this season than maybe the Broadhead Moore one. And maybe at home that's why he's chosen to go with Windass, because it's a little bit more attacking with 2-ish strikers.
And Mia, 4-4-2 is Phil's expectation of the Watford formation today. Wrexham, of course, 3-5-2. Do you think the fact that it's not a straight match-up in terms of tactical system will mean that Wrexham are more likely to try and get the ball wide earlier?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's obviously a normal sort of expectation for this side anyway, with obviously the power that the wing-backs hold in this system. I think someone like Lewis O'Brien, though, is really important today in terms of getting forward and really overloading that back four, especially with the Watford right-back, obviously not being his natural position too. You know, can we really test him out on that left-hand side with O'Brien and James McLean? And then obviously going forward, like Andy says, with Josh Windass back in the side, I think this is his first start since Ipswich away, I believe. I don't think he started in the last four games or so. So I think there's a real sort of onus on him today to sort of prove that he deserves to be in that starting lineup. And then, you know, having someone like Nathan Broadhead coming off the bench, it's up to him then, can he make that impact off there?
You mentioned Lewis O'Brien, Mia. He was so key to this team in the early weeks of the season, but he struggled for game time. He hasn't even featured off the bench too much in recent weeks. How would you assess his season so far?
Yeah, I think it's a weird one, isn't it? I think the last few weeks have sort of been that, you know, we're happy with results in terms of, obviously we've picked up a few draws, a couple of wins in there. I don't think we've necessarily excelled in terms of performance, but I think it's been that case of you're looking at that squad and you're going, well, they've done well, so we can't really change it too much. Don't tinker with it because they're grinding out these points. And I think, you know, Wednesday was the perfect opportunity now to go, right, no, now we make our changes and we see what these players that have been chomping at the bit can do. And I think this is the perfect opportunity now for Lewis O'Brien to do that. Different type of player to a Dobson or a Thomason in the sense that he's maybe not that sort of disruptive role that I would put under them two. And how many chances has he had so far this season? Obviously scored about 3 goals, I think, hasn't he already? But probably should have a higher number of them. And I think that's so important for us, you know, because we're not necessarily creating the most chances.
I think he just adds a goal threat to us a little bit. I know he's not only scored 3 this season, but he adds a different dimension to the other 2 midfielders. He's a little bit more attacking. He can go and get in the box when he needs to, and he can counter really quickly as well. So again, at home, I think he suits that.
Well, another key matchup today will be in the Wrexham defensive line, because Max Cleworth is going to have his hands full in every sense with giant Danish centre forward Luca Quirumgo. Quirumgo's 6'6", on loan from Udinese in Serie A, and he is a serious threat to the Wrexham back line. 6 goals for Quirumgo so far this season. Decent in the air, as you can see, but Max Cleworth looking particularly demonic, I think, in that photograph. Perhaps he's trying to scare Luca from our graphic there. 7 clean sheets already banked by Max. He's hardly missed a minute in the Championship. He started every game, and his aerial duel percentage actually even better than the big Danish forward. Well, Max has dealt with pretty much every challenge thrown at him since he made his debut so many years ago, Andy, for Wrexham in that FA Trophy tie under Brian Hughes. But this afternoon, a 6'6" in-form Championship striker, the next puzzle for Max to try and solve.
Yeah, and the back 3, to be fair, because I think that they played with 2 strikers at 4-4-2. So again, something different to what the majority of teams in this league play with maybe normally 3 up front, you know, wide players and stuff. So again, he's got to learn and work out whose man it is and his communications between the 3 at the back. But yeah, he's going to certainly have his handful. They've picked him from nowhere, a 2nd division over in Denmark, I think it was, or somewhere, that and he's gone flying in, and he's learning his trade. It's very similar to Kiefer, I think, but he's learning his trade. Different game over here, back to goal more and a bit more physical. So he's done really well to start off and scoring goals straight away.
And Watford, Mia, seem to have a tie-up with Udinese in Italy because a number of players they've acquired from there. This is a team that is very much reflecting the modern day of the Championship. Imran Loza from Morocco pulling the strings in midfield. They've got players from all over the world, all over the pitch, Watford.
Yeah, they really have. I think, you know, they're obviously that example of one of these teams that have been in the Premiership and have had to recruit from far and wide. And, you know, I'm pretty sure the Pozzo ownership currently at Watford, you know, have ties to Udinese in the past. Obviously had to remove their sort of ownership links due to, you know, obviously new regulations coming in over the last few years in terms of owning, you know, more than one club. But they've still got those ties, and, you know, that's good to see. And I think, you know, Quirumgo, certainly a player, you know, for the future. I think, again, today it's sort of, like Andy says about those 2 strikers up top, sort of reminds me of maybe that Preston game with Michael Smith and Lewis Dobbin. I thought, you know, they really marshalled them 2 very well, particularly Michael Smith, who was that bigger presence like Quirumgo probably is today.
So Watford, today's challenge for Wrexham to try and solve midweek, as we were mentioning at the top of the show, saw the trip to East Yorkshire to face Hull City. It wasn't the result that Wrexham were looking for, as a 9-match unbeaten run came to an end. Here's a reminder of how things played out in East Yorkshire.
Run down the right-hand side for Hull. Lacking options at the minute, so he holds the ball, goes left, then right, then pulls it back. Joe Shobson has to get there on the halfway line. It's a deflection. Now for Okonkwo, can't keep it out. Hull City take the lead. Okonkwo did brilliantly to get to the first one, but it's landed right at Kyle Joseph's feet inside the 6-yard box. Barnett over Moore, cleared at the back post by Coyle. It falls to Moore. Moore hits it, he's dragged it wide. Big opportunity. The chance came out of nowhere. Here is Barnett. Seen those two players link up so many times on that right-hand side on our climb through the divisions. Barnett lays back to Dobson. Clue still in the attack, but so is Nathan Broadhead on the edge of the area. Tries to fashion space to shoot. Gone past two men, goes beat to third. In the end, he clips across to the back post. McLean's there and he can't get onto it.
They play little 2 one-touch passes.
Chance to do it again now as Slater wins the ball from Broadhead. As the overlapping runner, Ballumi hits it low instead, and Okonkwo saves low. But Hughes just strides through the press instead. Feeds Giles on the left-hand side into the penalty area, clipped across, and that's a huge touch right after Okonkwo. Ballumi keeps it in play on the right-hand side, goes through his mark and McLean. Ballumi to the edge of the penalty area, it's run hard, that's run wide. Put himself between the pass and the intended recipient. He finds Broadhead. Broadhead can stride forward again, he takes the tiny touch. And in the end, the deflection goes just over the bar. It's a touch that made it. As Andy said, the Kiefer Moore steps up to take this penalty. 10 goals so far this season. He's not yet had one from the spot. Moore against Eva Panda, holding his right arm out. Moore hits it to that side, and Panda guesses correctly and saves. Low to his right-hand side. Gayabi spreads the play to Miller, the other substitute. Now Giles is making the overlapping run. He only has McBurney with him for support. He plays the low ball in. McBurney gets there. McBurney scores. An incisive counter-attack from Hull City. Midway through this second half. Sheaf couldn't turn it into a good pass, so Hull can counter-attack with Gayabi. Got Miller to his left. Here is Miller. Miller takes onto his left foot, shoots to the near post, and that's clipped the bar on its way over. After the break, after missing a big chance in that first half as well, Kiefer Moore seeing a penalty saved. After some brilliant work by Nathan Broadhead, Wrexham have been in the ascendancy at the start of the second half. That penalty miss just swinging the momentum of the game back Hull's way. And Ollie McBurney, that man again, that man we hate to see, coming off the bench, doing what he does best, doing what he does too often against Wrexham, scoring a second goal to ensure this one finished. Hull City 2, Wrexham 0.
Disappointment then in midweek at Hull. Wrexham's unbeaten run comes to an end and means they take just 1 point from those 2 away trips to Preston and Hull since we were last on Matchday live duty here at home to Blackburn Rovers a week and a half ago. One thing though that is new this afternoon is the opportunity for you to get yourselves on the fan wall. You might have seen the QR code in the top corner of our screen, and if you scan that on your phone, it'll take you to a website where you can upload a picture of yourself and select a frame as to where you're watching the game from, which might be shown in the stadium here on our big scoreboard screens, and will almost certainly, we hope, be shown on our own feed on Matchday Live, because during the first half and the second half, when we sadly can't show you the live action from today's game, we will keep live the feed for every photograph that is uploaded and goes through the platform onto the fan wall. So if you'd like to send us a picture of wherever you're watching the game from, we would love to receive it. And you might find your way onto the fan wall in the stadium, and you hopefully will find your way onto the feed going out here on Matchday Live when the two halves are in progress. So give it a go, scan that QR code. We'd love to see where you're watching the game from. We know there are people from far and wide who watch the show and follow Wrexham. So show us where you are and what you're up to today. Disappointment then at Hull. Phil did say, though, in the press conference yesterday to me, Andy, that no one's getting too down about it. When you've had such a good run as that, you draw a line, you accept the fact, but you don't get too down, and it's time to move on again to a fresh game today. But as a player, when you were on a long unbeaten run and it came to an end, does it feel a bit more kind of crushing on the shoulders when it ends?
Well, I think it just shows what this division is all about. They've done so well to go so many games to start with, but then when it does happen, this team has definitely done one thing. It bounces back, it reacts to an adversity, if you like, and they get beat. Okay, forgotten about. You feedback, you review, and then you go on to the next one. And I'm sure that they'll be desperate to get out here, especially the 5 lads that didn't start on Wednesday. They'll be the ones that be going to, and even the ones that did start, they'll be even more bothered, I suppose, about getting back out here and putting the rights that went wrong on Wednesday.
Well, Wrexham up against Watford this afternoon, and Watford have been a club where there's been pretty much a revolving door of managers in recent years. It's been a hot seat in every sense at Vicarage Road, and if you've not had the chance to track Watford's recent changes, then we've got a bit of a reminder on screen for you there, because since September 22 there have been a number who have tried and failed to get success at Vicarage Road. Paolo Pezzolano was the most recent out of the exit door in October of this year. That led to a second spell for Javi Gracia, about whom we'll talk more in a moment. But prior to Pezzolano, Tom Cleverley had a year or so in the hot seat, as did Valerie Ismail, who we saw here a couple of weeks ago with Blackburn Rovers. Chris Wilder, a very brief cameo from him. He's now back at his beloved Sheffield United, of course. And Slaven Bilic also had 6 months worth at the end of 22 into 23. And Mia, when you see a run of managers coming and going like that, it doesn't often map against on-field success.
No, it doesn't. It makes you glad, you know, for me personally, you know, as a football supporter, you know, that's never really what I want to see at my club. You know, I think you want to see continuity and, you know, want to see a project and a manager be able to take, you know, part control. Obviously, there's other people now in the building in terms of recruitment and stuff, but, you know, you want to feel like you're following their philosophy. And with so much chopping and changing like there has been at Watford, you know, they've sort of become that sort of novelty where, you know, I think other clubs and other fans certainly are looking at them going, well, this guy hasn't got long if he suddenly goes on a poor run. And I think that's now the sort of mentality, and that brings that pressure. You know, I think there was a real opportunity with someone like Tom Cleverley. I think he picked up some really good results during his tenure here at Watford, and you know they just didn't back him again. And I think, you know, they just need that one where they just go, right, we're going to put our trust in you. We'll give you what the spend may be in January or summer windows, and go from there. Because at the moment it just feels like a real revolving door. I think in the past 6 years, I think it's something like 12 managerial appointments, which is just pretty insane.
I don't know why you'd go there as a manager. Do you know what I mean? I know it's a really good opportunity, but you know that if things, and normally you're going in because somebody before you hasn't done particularly well, and so you're picking up the pieces from that, and if you don't get going straight away, you know that you're done and you're out the door. And it's such a difficult job to go in and just turn something around so quickly. But that's their philosophy, that's the way they want to run it, and they're not doing too badly, are they?
Well, at the moment they're going okay, and that's largely because Javi Gracia has returned to the club for his second spell after that flurry of managers came and went. Gracia returned. Hello, Rob. Hello, Ryan.
Hi,
good to see you. Yeah, have you seen this before? Hi. It's called Matchday Live.
How are you?
What movie you guys fancy a part?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what would you like to play?
I'd love to do a walk-on.
Have you ever done anything before?
Yeah, no lines though. Hi.
Yeah.
How are you?
No prompt to read off, sadly.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got pretty high stat. I mean, could we do a short audition or something? Would you mind doing a few minutes?
They should remake The Office.
Oh, that's a thought.
Oh yeah, a third time.
Yeah.
That's really good.
A Canadian version.
Asian version.
That would be great.
Wow.
Would you shoot it here, Rob?
A Welsh version. Okay. How about that?
A Welsh
I
version.
think Geraint Parry could be a bit of a Michael Scott.
A Welsh
No?
version of The Office.
What,
Shot here, yeah.
What's the prediction for today?
Well, we're going to ask you that.
Oh, I don't do that.
You don't do predictions?
Every time I've done a prediction, it's ended poorly for us.
2-0.
Okay, 2-0. It's ended poorly for you. What predictions?
Yes.
Not a good record.
No, never. Also, in every industry.
Right, okay.
This seems to be working out. This
What,
one.
this show?
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. You and I could break our legs today, and then we would be out of the rotation.
This is the difference between us.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah.
Well-
You break your leg, and the hopes and dreams are over. It's done. So.
No, look at that giant drill we have to fix whatever we need.
Oh my God.
Whatever happens.
That's
You going to go up there, Rob? Have a look down?
At some point.
Yeah.
They put that in his knee.
Excited about seeing the new cop go up, Ryan?
I'm very excited about the new cop. I sit around dreaming of like secret rooms that like turn into like, oh, we have an apartment at the cop now, and we have but no, I am very excited about the spectators getting 55,000 seats are hopefully back in there, and I just miss the fourth wall, like that
Agreed.
feeling of full surround sound is it's a beautiful thing. We've really ruined this for you guys.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, you're supposed to be talking about football and we came in and ruined it. Yeah.
Terrible
All right.
thing to do.
It's lovely to
Up
see
to town.
you. Thanks for popping in.
I'm glad we saw the right colors.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Ryan. No idea who those two guys were, but anyway, thought we'd just be nice.
Can we get security in, please?
Yeah, if we don't mind. I thought that was your job. Well, as well as Rob and Ryan, Michael Williamson, the Wrexham CEO, is as ever here today. And before we came on air, I had the chance to catch up with the Wrexham Chief Executive Officer about what's been an epic couple of weeks for the club. Of course, we have had the groundbreaking ceremony to the start of the building of the new COP, and this week the announcement of the investment from Apollo Sports Capital. I caught up with Mr. Williamson just a short time before we came on air today. Well, Michael, it's been quite an eventful few days, I would imagine, in your role. Not just the groundbreaking for the new COP about 10 days ago, but this week the announcement of the arrival of Apollo Sports Capital as new minority investors in the club. What kind of possibilities does that investment open up?
Listen, I think it allows us to continue our journey to arrive to the Premier League in a sustainable way. Bringing in partners like Apollo is just another testament to the success that we've had both on and off the pitch. We talk a lot about being Premier League ready, right? And our ambitions are clear. Our chairman have said very clearly, Rob and Ryan have said, we want to bring this club for the community to the Premier League. Well, that means we need to be Premier League ready once we arrive there, right? It's for the sustainability part of it. And having investors like the Allen family, having investors like Apollo come in and show that, hey, we can help invest both on and off the pitch so that we have access to growth capital for investment in infrastructure, funding for the COP to make sure that we're able to build that and deliver that. And then ultimately, staff and other facilities, and just making sure that when we arrive to Premier League that we can stay there.
When you look ahead now, Michael, at the way you might go about developing the COP and the final decisions you might take and the way the ground might shape going forward, does this make it a more complex situation to manage, or does it just give you more possibilities as to how you might develop the infrastructure of the ground?
No, listen, I think it goes back to making sure that we have access to the ability to be able to do what we need to do when we need to do it. So clearly the first step is development of the COP and getting that across the line. We're looking at early 2027 to have that delivered. We're looking to obviously try to get seats available as soon as possible. We're having these conversations with our contractors currently. But ultimately, the final touches will probably be somewhere around late in the season of the 26-27 season. So for us, that will bring us to 18,000 seating capacity here at the Kairos, which is fantastic. But we're looking to host the Women's World Cup in 2035. We were included in the bid for that, and that's it sounds like it's a long time away, 10 years. But the reality is that means we need to start planning now what phase 2 and phase 3 are for the development of the Kairos, and having partners along the journey like Apollo would just help make sure that we have the flexibility to be creative and do what's best for the city and for the fans.
I know a lot of fans, Michael, were very excited about seeing Wrexham's name amongst those stadia in the bid for the 2035 Women's World Cup in the UK. What was that like for you as a process to ensure Wrexham got on that list with some very high-profile clubs?
Yeah, when you look at it, it's just because when you list it alphabetically, we're towards the bottom, but it is one of those ones where you see some of the names of some of the facilities and venues that are above us there, and it's a testament to what what this community is all about, right? And the resilience of being in Wrexham and the resilience of going through the difficult times to now say, okay, we are something special, and to be included in a list that like what was for the venues to host the Women's World Cup in 2035 is just remarkable. Listen, it's a North Star. We still have a lot to do to arrive there. We need to prepare ourselves to be able. There's going to be additional improvements that we look to have to make to the Kairos to be able to host a facility, event like that. But more importantly, there's also things that Wrexham as a community, Wrexham as a town, and a city need to invest in as well. So it's a great, exciting opportunity, and it's a privilege to be a part of that. And it's just, again, another testament to everything that's been happening here over the last several years.
You had the groundbreaking ceremony on the 4th of December for the COP. I know there's a lot of details on the club website of the specific activities that are going to happen in the coming months. Construction projects are always complex. They sometimes run late, of course. As you look at the project ahead, how are you feeling about all the pieces of the jigsaw that have got to come together?
Well, first, for the groundbreaking ceremony, it was a great event. It was a milestone opportunity for everyone involved to say, okay, we're finally here. We're finally moving this project forward, and we have a clear path of what we need to do in order to deliver the stand. Of course, I do wish that my shoes weren't brand spanking new, because it was just a little bit I'm like all this mud and everything else, and I had clean shoes, and I'm like, well, we could have done something a little bit more there to show that maybe I've actually been around doing the digging a little bit deeper than just for the photo shoot. But listen, that's what this is a little bit about, and I get to make fun of myself for it, but it was more important just to have everyone out there who's been a part of this journey over the last several years, really, to be able to get to the point where we could actually break ground for the COP and deliver that. So it's an exciting moment, and we're looking forward to try to build it as quickly as possible, obviously, but also to do it the right way.
And just finally, Michael, as we approach pretty much the midpoint of the season today against Watford, when you look at the progress of the first half of the season, the league table position, and dare I say it, the January transfer window that opens in front of us, what are your reflections on where the club are up to so far this season and what we might see ahead in the coming weeks?
Well, listen, I think what you've seen is really just a testament of what Phil has done year in and year out, consistently making sure that the players are giving the intensity that they need to on the pitch, that they're fighting and supporting each other, that we're very difficult to break down defensively, and then when we get our opportunities, we're going to try to take advantage of them. We're consistent, and I think that consistency has allowed us to find ourselves in a good place in the table right now. Listen, I think all of us wish that we could be a little bit higher, but definitely we're happy that we're not a little bit lower, right? That's how much parity there is in this league. It's pretty congested there in between from playoff spots all the way down to the 17th position. So we just need to make sure that we keep doing what we do well, which is getting results here in front of our home fans and home support, and then ultimately on the way, for our away matches and fixtures, it's just our support from our away fans and travel fans. It's just absolutely fantastic, and I don't know people really understand how important that is for the 11 players on the pitch when they have 3,000, 3,500, 4,000 people, there singing, cheering, urging them on. That is a real motivator for those away matches, and that's why you're seeing us get the results in a way, whether it's a draw or a win. And so it's listen, we just need to keep doing that. January isn't always a market where you have to look at and reflect, where are you with injuries, where are you with the current squad, and Kenley, what are the opportunities out there, because it's not something that there's always the right fit. And so it's just more of an opportunistic look to see, okay, are there things that we can do that perhaps bolster our squad a little bit? Great. Otherwise, I think we've seen that we can go toe-to-toe with anyone with the squad we have.
Michael, thanks so much as ever for joining us on Matchday Live.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you guys for having me. Cheers.
Wrexham CEO Michael Williamson in conversation with me earlier today, reflecting on some further big developments in Wrexham's aspirations with the investment from Apollo Sports Capital confirmed this week off the back of the groundbreaking of the new COP. A few days prior, the phrase of the interview, I think, Mia, is Premier League aspirations and preparations. Goodness me, you wouldn't have put much money on those words being spoken in Wrexham about 6 years ago.
You wouldn't, and I think Rob and Ryan always talk about it. One of their first interviews they did as co-chairman was them saying, to all the media, we want to be in the Premier League, and a number of those media and various people around the world just sort of laughing, and now that's being said, and it's quite realistic, which is still crazy to say, but suddenly people are going, well, no, they actually could be. And yeah, it's obviously brilliant to see the news about Apollo and what they can bring. Obviously already got sort of a hand in the game in terms of sports with obviously Atletico Madrid, so they've got experience there, and I think it's just another heck of a lot of exciting news for Wrexham.
Another step forward in the growth of this football club.
And Andy, in terms of a sense of perspective for fans, I guess when they see further investment coming in, they're aware, of course, there are plans for the COP, and there'll be, I'm sure, plenty of eyes in the coming months to see physically as it starts to appear from the earth and towards that opening in the 26-27 season, which is the aim. There'll be a sense too, I suppose, of what then, what next, and how will that continue to be developed into the wider infrastructure of the club. But Michael making the point there, clearly that there's lots of aspects to think about. Part of it's physical infrastructure, part of it's the staffing of the club off the field, part of it clearly on the field playing staff.
Yeah, I just think it's such a big thing to get going. You've got to start somewhere, haven't you, here? And this was one thing that I think made a big difference. Like Ryan said just then, the fourth wall, the noise that came out of that just as a temporary stand, to get this thing back up and running with maybe 7,500 people in it will just make such a difference to the people on the field. And so that's where, let's start here, let's get that done, and then we can look at other parts of the ground and the infrastructure behind it to bring us up and have us competing at the top end of this championship, if not higher.
And Mia, can't let this little discussion finish without us talking about the potential of a Women's World Cup match being played here. But Wrexham part of that bid in the UK for the 2035 Women's World Cup. It seems a long way away at the moment, but if the UK are successful in that bid, what an opportunity it would be, not just for the club but for the town.
Absolutely, again, just really exciting, and that's what Rob and Ryan came in and they said. Obviously the on-pitch stuff is super important, but also building this place into hopefully a real international sort of stalwart in Welsh, not only Welsh football but sort of global football as well. Obviously got the 19s Euros here next summer, and potentially the Women's World Cup as well, which would be superb.
Building up to kick-off then, just under 8 minutes before we get underway here at the Stoke Kairas, and once more taking his place between the sticks this afternoon for Wrexham, Arthur Okonkwo, shortlisted for Championship Player of the Month for November, in fine form at Preston a couple of matches ago. He was on press conference duty yesterday, and I had the chance to chat to the big Wrexham goalkeeper about today's game and how he'd found the season so far. Well, Arthur, disappointment in midweek at Hull. Let's start with what you've done since. What have been some of the messages in the meetings that you've had with Phil since that defeat?
Yeah, I think the manager spoke to us all after the game. We're really disappointed. Obviously, the first game we've lost in that unbeaten run. It was just, I think we were lacking a bit of quality. I think we could have been a bit more ruthless, both boxers. But sometimes this happens, and the big thing is now to have that reaction. It's a game, you have a game every 3 days, so the big thing is how you react, and I have full trust in the team that we will do that.
You mentioned the run. When you lose a match like Wednesday, Arthur, does it make the defeat even harder to take? The fact that you've obviously worked so hard to build that momentum and be unbeaten in 9, is that feeling felt a little bit more strongly in the dressing room afterwards?
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially in the way we lost as well, it does make it really difficult. But like I said before, the manager, he's always been good at making us turn our minds onto the next game, especially with how tight the games are. And it's just refocusing and can't dwell too much on the past now.
Turning to Watford, they've struggled away from home this season, Arthur, just one win on their travels. What have been some of the points raised in the team camp this week about where you might be able to hurt them or what threats they might bring?
Yeah, Watford have a lot of good players. And they have a lot of key threats in the team that managers told us today. But I think big thing is focusing on ourselves really, especially after the last game. I think quality could have been a bit better. So at the moment, we just focus on ourselves, and we want to keep that home form record going as well, and we're just going to give it everything.
Supporters can often see in a game, Arthur, the step up from League One to the Championship, and players talk about power, pace, the speed of interchange, etc. as outfield players. But as a goalkeeper, what is really different are you noticing in surviving, coping at Championship level versus the experience you had in League One?
I think they're all similar. I think the big difference is obviously the players are much more ruthless. I think if you make a mistake, they punish you. And yeah, of course, the Championships, I'd say, one of the most physical leagues I've played in yet. But yeah, obviously for me, I think it's more of the quality that opposition bring going forward, and being able to deal with different situations, which is hard, but it's exciting for me because it's something I can learn and adapt to again.
Are you noticing a difference in terms of the way that attackers come at you at close range, or the way that you're having to deal with crosses? Has there been anything specific you've looked at?
Again, just the quality of crosses, quality of finishing is better in this league. But you know, it's not a huge difference in the game. It's just much more ruthless, I think, in this level. I think there's things you can get away with at a lower level, and this level you don't get away with so much. I think that's the big thing I've learned in the games I've played in.
You had the highest save percentage in the Championship, certainly at the start of the midweek range of matches played recently, Arthur. When you look back at your performance over the season so far, which aspect pleases you most on how you've developed personally?
I think the big thing for me is being able to make crucial saves when the team needs it. I think that's been something I've been able to bring, which I've been happy about. But yeah, I think my overall consistency has been good in the last few games. The important thing for me now is just to keep it going and stay focused, not dwell too much on stats and how many clean sheets or anything like that. Just being able to help the team as much as I can.
And just finally, Arthur, have you set yourself any little objective between now and the end of the year, or do you just take it literally game by game?
Yeah, I have, but I won't.
You're keeping that to yourself?
I'll keep that to myself, yeah.
Okay. Well, whatever it is, we hope you continue on that run in this game on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wrexham goalkeeper Arthur Okonkwo on pre-match press duties yesterday. He retains his place in the Wrexham starting 11 this afternoon, which sees 5 changes from the team who played at Hull. It's Okonkwo in goal, Cleworth, Hyam and Doyle across the back, Longman and McLean the wing-backs. Then it's James, Dobson and O'Brien in central midfield, and a return for Josh Windass in support of Kiefer Moore in attack. The team's just coming out now behind me, you might be able to hear. Let's have a little look at the other fixtures in the Sky Bet Championship this afternoon, because we've already had a Friday night fixture and 3 lunchtime games this weekend. Sheffield United's recent improvement came to an end at West Brom last night, and in the early games today, struggling Norwich springing a bit of a surprise, beating Southampton 2-1. Preston North End continue to go very well under Paul Heckingbottom, winning 2-1 at struggling Oxford. Stoke victorious over Swansea City by 2-1. 6 other matches, as you can see, taking place at 3 o'clock today. We'll keep you across those both at half-time and at full-time here on Matchday Live. Please rejoin us at half-time when former Wrexham legend Dennis Lawrence will be joining us on the show. So a great chance to catch up with Dennis and hear what he's been up to. But if you haven't yet sorted out your iFollow pass for today, head to wrexhamafc.co.uk/live, and Andy Morell and Mia Roberts will be there on commentary alongside Mark Griffiths. We'll be back
Goal scorer for Watford, number 20, Mamadou Doumbia. Goal scored for Watford in the 42nd minute, number 42. Ahmed. Mae Goodwin denoting bydd yna lleiaf syml 5 munud ychwanegol. The court officials indicated there will be a minimum of 5 minutes. At a time, that's 5 minutes. line of the next home game here at the Stuttgart is on Boxing Day, the 26th, when Sheffield United are the visitors for our Sky Bet Championship match, which will kick off at 5:30 p.m.
Half-time at the Stoke Kairas. It's been a very eventful first half, but Wrexham on the wrong end of the scoreline at the interval. It is Wrexham 1, Watford 2. Wrexham might be wondering how they're trailing in this match, having had much the better of long periods of the opening 45 minutes. But trailing they are, and there's work to do for Phil Parkinson in that half-time dressing room. Wrexham are out the blocks the quickest, much the better side for the first 20 minutes or so, and a perfect ball over the top from Matty James was right into the path of Josh Windass. Windass picking his moment before unleashing a first-time shot into the far right corner. No real chance for Egil Selvik in the Watford goal. Wrexham 1 up after 21 minutes. The Watford equaliser came out of nothing, really. James McLean with a loose pass, capitalised on by Otman Maama. He then squared the ball for Mali man Mamadou Dombiar, and Dombiar's shot deflected off Max Cleworth and the crossbar and into the back of the net. It got worse for Wrexham 3 minutes before half-time, and again it was Otman Maama who was heavily involved. On this occasion, he was the scorer. Hyam couldn't clear the initial header. Longman beaten to the second ball, and Maama slamming the ball home at the back post for a 2-1 lead. There was a good opportunity for Wrexham right at the end of the half. A header from Callum Doyle coming back off the bar. Lewis O'Brien also going close right in the very final seconds of the opening 45. He couldn't keep his shot on target. Work to do, Andy and Mia. What an eventful half. We didn't even mention the 2 yellow cards as well. There's been some spicy challenges going into this one. Mia, what's your assessment?
Yeah, it's been a bit mad, I think. A bit different to the Wrexham we've seen over the last few weeks, which has been very structured and controlled, particularly at the back, so solid. And, we've said it a number of times, they've looked a real hard team to beat. I think both the goals conceded, they'll be really frustrated with. Obviously, the first one, like you say, just on that transition, a loose pass, which can happen, of course it can, but then it's about them trying to make sure you are then solid defending that counter-attack. And to be fair, it's a really good bit of play from a Watford point of view, and Max does what every defender should do. You've just got to try and get your body in front of that ball, in front of that strike, and unfortunately for him it just comes off him, and then there's nothing really Arthur can do from the deflection. And then I think the second one, obviously they'll be disappointed, ball into the box. I think that Wrexham would have liked to think they should clear their lines. I think particularly the Longman one, I know he's probably just stretching for it a bit, obviously careful that he's not going to give away a foul in that situation as well, but I think you've just got to try and get something on that ball and try and just get it away from your goal, and then it just drops, and it's a decent finish near post. But I think Wrexham have had some really good moments, particularly in that first half hour. I thought in possession they were very good, very bright, and it looked like it was going to be a really positive day, but then after the Watford goal they've responded really well equally.
Andy, if you were in the dressing room in Phil Parkinson's shoes now, would you be saying, look, 2 defensive lapses potentially, but otherwise we've played well. We just need to do more of the same, or would you be starting to change stuff?
No, I think exactly that. I don't know how we're going into 1 down, to be fair, because I think we've had the majority of the game. We've had some good, decent chances. We've had some really good play up in this end of the final third. Just defensively, we've just conceded 2 sloppy goals, really, in my opinion, and it would be more of the same. Just keep going, solidify that back up, but keep playing, because we're causing them problems and we're going to get more chances.
Well, I've got a chance to have a quick look at the half-time stats now before we give Mia a breather and bring in Dennis Lawrence into the studio. But let's have a look at the half-time statistics then and see how that first half played out. Wrexham with more shots, only with 1 of the 7 though on target. 1 clear-cut chance for Wrexham. No corners yet for Watford, which perhaps shows how Wrexham have been on top for much of that half. We can have a look now at the defensive statistics. Wrexham, of course, having conceded 2 goals. That's the most important defensive statistic of all, really, but winning more tackles and more headed clearances needed for Wrexham. The clearance duel exactly dead level at 14 each. Watford winning the battle in the air, which seems a perfect cue to bring in a man who won a few aerial battles in his time at Wrexham on his 6'7" frame. Well, he had an advantage over a few strikers. Absolute pleasure to have Dennis Lawrence with us in the studio. Dennis, wonderful to see you. What have you made of that first half?
Thanks for having me first and foremost. I think for the first 29 minutes, Wrexham was in total control of the game. I think they counter pressed really well when they lost the ball, and they kept Watford at bay. It was difficult for Watford to come off on the back. And then for two soft moments, one a counter-attacking moment for Watford where they scored from, and the second one failing to deal with the cross. But I think we need to get back to how we started the game. We need to be on the front foot, try and be more aggressive, try and see if we can play more forward balls, because their back line is very stretched because of the way how we use our wing backs. So I think if they can get back to that, it gives us a chance to get back into the second half.
I get the feel, Dennis, we've got more goals in this game, which is probably the perfect curse to ensure it's going to finish 2-1.
Yeah, I think there is more goals, but I also think we need to be very, very careful with them on the counter-attack, because I think that's one of their strengths. That's what they play for. I watched them when they played against Middlesbrough, and that's where they hurt Middlesbrough. So we need to be mindful of that and try and make sure that we don't get caught out in those situations again.
Well, Dennis, it is fantastic to have you on the show. You remain the only Wrexham player to have played in the World Cup finals. That might change this summer, of course, if Wales get there. We hope it will change with Kiefer Moore and Nathan Broadhead joining you with that honour. But when you look back on your time at Wrexham and you look back on your time playing for Trinidad and Tobago, just give us a few of the memories that stand out the most, because you were playing alongside this man, Andy Morrell, for much of that time. It was a very different Wrexham back in the early 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a different time. We didn't have 8 million and 10 million to spend. So,
that's true.
But I think coming to the club at the time to meet people like Andy and Kev Russell and Gareth Owen and them, they were leaders. They showed us the way how it was meant to be. And it was a really enjoyable period because we were a really tight group. We worked together, we were friends, and we still remain friends today. So I think that was an incredible period for me coming over from Trinidad, and then obviously to be part of a legendary status of being the first and only Wrexham player to play in a World Cup. And as I said to somebody the other day, I hope these lads get the opportunity to do it, because it's a fantastic experience. So the record will still be there. I'll still remain the first, but they'll just join me. So it was great to have these boys and them to be around.
Yeah, when you first came over, Den, the first period wasn't easy, was it? It was a different sport over here to what you were used to.
Yeah.
And you took yourself aside when you were out the team and to really work on stuff that would help you on the pitch. Is that something that you wanted to do because you were desperate to get in the team?
I think it was something that I had to do, because obviously coming over from Trinidad, the game was played at a slower pace.
On the floor?
And it was on the floor. And I never heard the word channel before, but I had to adapt. And I think the period when I was out of the team, and I always say this, Brian Carey was very, very influential in me being able to develop, because I always looked at Brian Carey and thought to myself, I think I'm better than him, but he was the captain at the time, so I looked at him and understood what needed to be done, how to be vocal and how to organize. So that period for me was a testing period, but it's something that I had to do to be able to compete in the UK.
How did you adjust, Dennis? Because you were playing for Defence Force, you were in the army in Trinidad, you come to England, trials with Bolton and Newcastle, and then arrive at Wrexham. You've got a couple of Trinidadians already here, of course, back then Carlos Edwards and Hector Sam, but the weather, the climate, the culture, such a difference from what you were used to. How did you adjust?
Yeah, I think you had to dig deep inside of you. You had to be able to adapt to the conditions. But overall, when we looked at it, it was still the same game. It was still football. You just had to learn how to be in this a different environment and how to be able to adapt to their situations, adapt to the intensity of the game, adapt to the physicality of the game. And it's something that, you know, within time we managed to grow. And fair play to the people around me, like Andy and them, they allowed us to be competitive in training and to help us along the way. So I think we had to find it within yourself to be able to adapt.
And the two of you, of course, were part of that promotion to League One in 2002, 2003. What were your memories that stand out in that season, Dennis? Any particular moments or games?
The fact that Andy and Tron scored all the goals and just took us up the league.
They were all right, weren't they, to be fair to them?
I mean, I've always said this to people. If you play in a team that you've got people that are scoring goals the way that him and Trons did, it always gives you a chance because you're scoring goals and you can win games 3-2, you can win games 2-1, but you always got a chance. And we had two goal scorers that really helped us to propel us up the league.
We had good players, didn't we?
Yeah,
Carlos on one side, Eddie on the other side. We had
Yeah.
wing backs that really they created a lot of chances for us strikers. And then we had three stalwarts at the back that stopped the ball going in our net with Dibbs stood in the back in the goal. So, that makes a good, and Daz Ferguson was probably the icing on the cake in central midfield to create chances. So as a formula, he got the team spot on, and it worked a treat for us.
Yeah.
And then 2005, Dennis, of course, you were part of the team who won the LDV trophy at the Millennium Stadium that day with a young Ben Foster in goal.
Yep.
What an incredible 360 that Ben, of course, such a young keeper then on loan from Stoke, came to Wrexham's aid in the National League season and has played a part here so many years later.
Yeah, I mean, when we got him, at the time when we saw him, we were really, really fortunate to have him because he was that good of a goalkeeper that playing in front of him, you felt really comfortable that if the opportunity did come for the opposition, that he would save it. So I think having that sort of profile behind you as playing in the back line, it always helps.
And just lastly, I can see the players are running out. 2006 World Cup with Trinidad and Tobago, playing against England, getting a draw against Sweden. What stood out for you in terms of the experience of being a World Cup finalist?
I think just being able to put Trinidad and Tobago on the map, making us recognize around the world that we weren't just a banana republic, as some people said. So I think being able to go out and show the rest of the world that, yes, we can play football in Trinidad and Tobago, that was the massive part for us.
What are you up to currently, Dennis?
I'm working in the MLS, working with Minnesota as Eric Ramsey's assistant.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Thank you for popping back when you've come back to Wrexham. I know you've had a lot of great coaching experiences. We haven't had the chance to touch on those today at Everton and at Wigan and now at Minnesota. But we wish you all the best. Please come back and see us again soon, Dennis.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Dennis Lawrence, Wrexham legend, Trinidad and Tobago captain, manager and player at the 2006 World Cup. The players are back out for the second half. Please come and join us again at full time. Wrexham 1, Watford 2. Work to do. We'll see you in about 50 minutes for all the post-match reaction. See you then.
substitution for Wrexham, leaving the field, number 27, Lewis O'Brien. He's been replaced by number 33, Nathan Broadhead. And in the field, number 37, Matty James. He's been replaced by number 18, Ben Sheep. Substitution for Watford, leaving the field, number 9, Luca Pierugo. He's been replaced by number 18, Vivaldo Sevedo. Leaving the field, number 42, Osman Mahama. He's been replaced by number 8, Georgi Shakpatadze. Leaving the field, number 9, Luca Pierugo. Wrexham leading the field, number 7, James McLean. He's been replaced by number 29, Ryan Barnett. Also leading the field, number 15, George Dobson. He's been replaced by the man, Ryan Hardy. Substitution for Watford, leaving the field, number 25, James Abanqua. He's been replaced by number 4, Kevin Evans. Substitute for Watford, leaving the field, number 39, Edo Kayembe. He's being replaced by number 17, Musa Sissoko. Leaving the field for Wrexham, number 5, Dom Hyam. He's been replaced by number 20, Ollie Radford. Sydd o wedi dymannu yn yr alluad o 6 munud ychwanegol. Both officials indicated there will be a minimum of 6 minutes added time. That's 6 minutes. Thank you for your fantastic support. Today's final score for Stoke Arts, Wrexham 2, Watford 2. Bydd y gêm nesaf ar y Stoke Arts ar y chweched. Ar y chweched ar hynny o ragor yn erbyn Watford. Gyda chi gyntaf am tri o'r gloch. A rhaid y next home game here at the Stoke Arts is on Boxing Day when Sheffield United are the visitors for our Sky Bet Championship match, which kicks off at 5:30. Top sydd o'r gêm heddiw, 10,667. The official attendance, 10,667, and grateful thanks to the 1,275 away supporters. Cymera Polo o Bamford Stadium gan ddyn y gwynna saff a greu baw, the safety home to all supporters, please do take care when you leave the stadium. The club shop will be open for 30 minutes after full time, and we'll see you again on Boxing Day. Not like that!
A very good evening from the Stoke Kairas, where Wrexham have done it in added time yet again. Final score here, Wrexham 2, Watford 2. Ollie Rathbone, the hero off the bench. He'd only been on for 2 minutes when he sent a sumptuous left-foot drive beyond the outstretched arm of the Watford goalkeeper to salvage a point from Wrexham right at the end. It looked like it might not be Wrexham's day. They dominated for much of the second half as Watford decided to try and hold on to their 2-1 lead. Okonkwo a spectator for much of the second period, but despite Wrexham's efforts, it seemed that goal might be elusive. But last season's Player of the Year, in his first minutes in Championship football this season, changed all that, picking the ball up on the edge of the box and swinging that trusty left peg at the ball to send it spiralling into the net and to send home 10,000 or so Wrexham fans in far better spirits as they salvage a point from this game. It was eventful, Andy Morell and Mia Roberts, pretty much from the first kick to the last. And Andy, we've said it so many times, but this Wrexham side just never know when they're beaten.
Yeah, well, I think Watford had taken a decision in that second half to just sit in and just look to counter when we get an opportunity to. And I thought that Wrexham had the pressure, but we didn't really create anything within that. And fair play to Parky, because he rolled the dice with putting more and more strikers on the pitch and taking off defenders. And eventually it told at the end of it, because when you have good players on the pitch, they normally find a way, and they certainly did that today. And I'm delighted for Ollie Rathbone. I'm looking forward to seeing the smile on his face after that celebration, because it's a great strike and it's been a frustrating one for him this season. But to get him back on the pitch is great, him first and foremost, but then to him to score the equaliser, just delighted for him.
Mia, when Liverpool turned the Champions League final round in 2005 under Benitez, one of the things that happened was that he made a really unusual half-time substitution, which was to put Dietmar Hamann on rather than send for strikers when his team were 3-0 down.
Yep.
That came to my thinking when Rathbone was sent on in the 90th minute, because he still had Sam Smith to deploy, and most managers at that stage would say, throw another striker on, takes Dom Hyam off, which perhaps people aren't surprised at when you're trying to chase a game at the death, puts on a midfielder, immediate dividend.
Absolutely agree. I think, Andy talks about obviously those substitutions being brave in the sense of just chucking these attackers on. but it's equally brave, in my opinion, to chuck someone like Ollie Rathbone on. Not necessarily a prolific goal scorer. I know he was right up there in our charts last season, but historically that's not necessarily been the case. But what we were missing in that sort of second half, particularly going forward, was that build-up play, that midfield, them bodies in midfield. Whether it was just a case of them picking up the scraps, I think the goal's a really good example of that. How many times did the Watford centre backs win that first ball, whether it was in the box or just a ball over the tops of their back line, and we didn't really have anyone feeding off them scraps, trying to get on that second phase. Well, that's exactly what Ollie Rathbone's all about. So I think especially it's a brave substitution, considering he hasn't had any Championship minutes. We saw he wasn't quite at it in that Cardiff Cup tie, and for Phil Parkinson to go, well, you know what, I think he can be a game winner, and he's absolutely proved it again.
Over the 90, Andy, 2-2 a fair outcome, would you say?
Well, Watford had two chances really. One's a deflection, off Max, and the other one, I can't remember any other chances really that
there was
that
one early in the second half for Doumbia, which was saved by Okonkwo in about the 50th minute.
Yeah, you're right.
That would be about the only other one.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that that's 2 points dropped for me, because even though we didn't create lots and lots of chances, we had more possession, we had better positions and opportunities that we got into that we didn't really take or maximise.
Let's have a look at the half-time stats then, or rather the full-time stats, because we've got a chance to reflect on the whole game now as Wrexham collect a point from this match against Watford. As Andy says, it did appear that Wrexham were asking more questions in more areas more often, but if we look at the total shots over the game, Wrexham 15, Watford with 12, only 3 each though for each side on target, which perhaps tells a story about how many clear-cut chances there really were, and in fact statistically just the 2 for Wrexham, none for Watford. I think that statistic is created aside from the goals that were scored. 7 corners to 1 though, telling a bit of a story in terms of the narrative of the game, Andy, but those lack of shots on target for both sides, perhaps the most salient stat there.
Yeah, but there was Josh Windass chance, wasn't there? That the great save, double save, but it was offside after it as well. Yeah, just we weren't exactly clinical. Normally the quality of our crossing is top drawer, and we just didn't quite have that in that final third this game, and maybe just lacked a little bit of quality up that top end of the pitch.
Let's have a look at the defensive statistics then and see what story they tell from this afternoon's 2-2 draw. Well, Wrexham winning more tackles over the 90 minutes. Watford having the nudge in the air, as Mia said, with so many of those headed clearances, no doubt contributing to that, but the total number of clearances pretty steady. 2 blocked crosses for Watford as well, Mia. But did you feel it was those second balls on the edge of the box that, until Rathbone's late intervention, Wrexham were coming up a bit short in? Was that one of the key moments behind why this wasn't a win?
Yeah, I think so, and not just necessarily, on the edge of the box. I thought there was so many times when that Watford back line would win that initial, I think too many times, definitely maybe when the substitutions has been made, too early in the game, we were looking for that long sort of killer ball over the top, and it just wasn't quite clicking. We just needed to feed it, whether it was into Ben Sheaf when he was the sitter, or when Windass was dropping off Broadhead. I think he'll be frustrated with his performance today. I think he could have done a bit more in there to just try and get on the ball and just try and work something. I think far too many times we were forcing it. But like I say, when we were forcing it, that Watford backline did really well to not just win the first challenge, but then also get on that second ball initially on that second phase. And that was just catching Wrexham out and making it really hard to just sustain those attacks.
And the goals conceded, Mia, I'm sure when Phil Parkinson sits down with the coaching staff and with the players, it won't need too much discussion, will it? I think people will recognise that defensively, obviously the first one slightly unfortunate, Cleworth getting the block in and it looping in, but the second was very un-Wrexham-like from what we've seen in the last couple of months. Exactly that. I think,
it is one of those that you look at this back line and this defence as a whole over the last few weeks, and obviously the results speak for themselves in the sense of how little goals we've conceded, how good obviously Arthur's been has helped that as well. But in terms of letting shots off on target and these balls into the box, we've been so good at clearing our lines and making good decisions, and I think today, just in those vital moments, that's what has caused us to become undone. And sadly at this level, we've seen this already so far a number of times this season, that you get punished, and that's so easily done, especially against top attacking talent like we've seen with Watford today.
We've still been able to get a point out of something that we look like in the 90th minute that we're not going to get anything at home for, and this home form is going to be so important. If we're going on the road and nicking points here and there, we have to be able to win at home. But when you're not getting anything, it's a lot harder to keep or get that momentum going, and to get something out of the game today is a definite positive.
Do you think psychologically as well, Andy, you made the point that Watford set up in the second half largely not to concede rather than to try and build on that lead? Is there a combination of a defensive mindset plus a team who've only won once away from home all season, which when it really gets to the nitty-gritty of the last 5 added minutes, psychologically there's an aspect of that says we're going to concede here, and Wrexham have got the crowd behind them and they're shooting towards their own fans, etc.?
Yeah, there's definitely in the back of the mind that when it's when you are in that sort of vein of form away from home and you can't just get those wins when you are winning, you become a little bit tenser when you're trying to clear it, and you are at that expectation that, oh no, it's coming. But off the back of that, we're used to scoring late goals as well, so you compound both together and you get a late equaliser and nearly a winner with Ryan Hardy's chance right at the end there. It's a really good flick by Kiefer, and he takes it really well, just unable to keep over it and maybe get it on target.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that chance. I mean, in the end, it was high and over the bar, but do you feel that it might be one that he looks back on and thinks I should have been hitting the target there?
Well, I think any striker looks back and goes, I wish I'd hit the target there. You know, it comes to him quite quickly. It's a touch, it bounces up, but surely you can get your knee up over it and just try and hit the target. If the keeper makes saves, that's fine. But he just maybe snatches at it a little bit. He's not had many minutes at all, has he, Ryan Hardy? And he's come on and could have made a real big name for himself, having scored in the 97th, or well, it's probably about 100 minutes weren't we into by then.
It was an interesting change, wasn't it? Because Sam Smith undeployed on the bench today. Why do you think Phil went for Hardy over Smith as the late sub up front?
I'm not really sure, really, but I think the space was in behind the back line of Watford, and we needed to get runners into there, and Ryan Hardy is definitely that. He does extend, he stretches the pitch, and that's what I think he's just picked him just maybe over Smith. I think Smith's not similar to Kiefer but more similar than Ryan Hardy is, and Ryan Hardy with Kiefer, he's hoping that ball into Kiefer and Ryan Hardy running off him, I would have thought.
Mia, looking across the performances today, how would you categorise how some of the players came into the side? Let's have a look at Matty James. I mean, his ball over the top for the Windass goal, terrific pass, and obviously a very nice finish from Windass, a little bit like James's ball to Smith at the end of last season for the Charlton goal in some senses. But how would you look at his overall performance for the hour or so that he played?
Yeah, I think he'll be fairly happy. Obviously, very happy with the assist, which was just a top quality ball over the top. But you know, I think obviously after we conceded, it became a bit of a sort of mad game in the sense that there was a lot of rough challenges in there, quite stop-start from the referee's point of view. Calling up things that maybe could have let flow a bit more. So I think at half time the message, like we said, would have been to stay the same. And then obviously Phil Parkinson's made the change, bringing Ben Sheaf on, which I think was probably the right decision at that point. I think you just need some fresh legs in there, and I think Matty James would probably say that himself. But from the outset, from that first half, I think he'll be happy with the performance, as will probably a number of the ones that came in today.
Very physical game, lots of yellow cards being brandished, the crowd calling for yellows to have been turned into red at times, and time wasting as well. Did you think any of the bookings that we saw today could have been reds?
Well, the bowler one was borderline. I don't think Kiefer...
That was the foul on Longman late in the first half.
It is late. He does get him from behind, which you can't do these days. I don't think it was off the floor. I don't think it was two-footed. So I think a strong yellow was probably where he's going, and the one for Kiefer where he's come over his shoulder and he's hit Pollock, I think that's just one for, as a striker, you're looking over your shoulder for the ball, you turn and you're looking to control it, and he just ends up there. He stoops and it's just a horrible little collision, but so a yellow again I think would be fair. I
think again though it shows at this place teams are desperate to time waste from quite early on. We saw it with Blackburn coming here, a couple of weeks ago. That from quite early, once they took the lead in that game, they were really trying to time waste. And I think that's something Phil Parkinson will be asking the question of the officials, saying you can't let this run till as late as they probably did today and at Blackburn. I thought in terms of giving that first yellow, because it just allows it to stretch on. And I think today again Phil Parkinson will probably be asking the question. I think you could have played another couple of minutes, maybe at least. There were so many stoppages in that final added on 6. Obviously with the Ollie Rathbone goal, there was a long stoppage, obviously waiting for Javi Garcia to leave the pitch as well. That didn't help things. And yeah, I think there was certainly a question that maybe there could have been a bit more time and possibly a chance in there for Wrexham.
If you're just joining us on Match Day Live, it's finished Wrexham 2, Watford 2 here this afternoon. Ollie Rathbone, and it took him 2 minutes of Championship football this season to make his mark, smacking the ball home left-footed from the edge of the penalty area to rescue a priceless point for Wrexham right at the death in the 92nd minute. Josh Windass having earlier given Wrexham the lead before Watford powered back. And if you're watching us on YouTube, we can well recommend a scroll back to earlier in the show today when Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney made a surprising arrival on our studio set pitch side. So if you have a scroll back through today's show just before the interview with Michael Williamson, you'll see a cameo from the co-owners. We hope to catch up shortly from the Wrexham camp with Phil Parkinson and one of the Wrexham players. I reckon that might be Ollie Rathbone, you know. What do you think? And we'll also have a look across the division today at the results elsewhere and where it leaves the tables before we sign off from Matchday Live in around about 15 minutes or so, something like that. So stay with us wherever you're joining us today. We have enjoyed all the photographs that have come in on the fan wall. Hopefully you've had the chance to see yours going through during either the first half or the second half of the Matchday Live broadcast when we've had our holding screen up. Also been great to see many of you appear on the large screens at the stadium today from where you have been joining us from around the world. So keep those selfies and pics coming in. Tell us where you've enjoyed the game from. Hopefully you've been left in good spirits by Wrexham's late equaliser from Ollie Rathbone. I can see Phil Parkinson's coming in now. Cup of coffee in hand, Phil. Well, a cup of tea, absolutely needed. How do you reflect on that one?
I mean, we at least deserved a point from the game. I thought we started really well. Got the goal, had other moments where we had to be more clinical. And then out of nowhere, they've scored. You know, we've got to look at that. And I said to the lads at half-time, we've overcommitted down this left-hand side. And as we know, that if you do that at this level, 10 seconds later, the ball can in the back of the net, albeit it was a deflected goal. And I felt the goal probably set us back, you know, too much really, because we're in a good place. I was pleased how we're playing. We got the mixture back in our game, which I felt we lacked on Wednesday. We got the energy back in our game. And then first 5-10 minutes, second half, thought we started a bit slow, but after that I thought we were really good. And I think overall we asked for an improved performance from Wednesday, and I felt we got it. And you know, when I speak about the performance level and we get it, I can't moan too much, because the lads have, you know, played with good quality today. Just in the final third, we needed to show the composure which Ollie Rathbone did.
When you break that game down, Phil, do you think you'll likely look back at it and go, apart from the two moments that cost us the 2 goals, there wasn't a huge amount wrong in most other areas?
No, we kind of felt we were in good control today, and I think what I was pleased with when we were chasing the game, we were patient enough with the ball, you know, and I think that's key, that you know, we kept passing it, switching the play, waiting for the moments, and the bit of quality when it was needed most, you know, took a while to come. But, you know, the lads have responded well to Wednesday.
Looking across the 90 minutes, it was a very hard-fought game, very physical game in places. Would that be up there, Phil, amongst the games so far this season that has been the most physical challenge you've faced?
Possibly. I mean, they've got a lot of powerful players in the team, which we knew the profile of the players they've recruited over a number of years of that ilk. And yeah, there's some strong, robust challenges out there. But I felt we dealt with it well, kept our cool. I haven't seen the tackle on Long back yet, but it looks like sending off. I felt we should have had a penalty in the first half on Keith. I haven't seen that back, but just judging it on my own eye. So a couple of things I felt went against us. But you know, I'd like to speak about Ollie Rathbone. I'm sure you're going to ask me, because I'm so pleased for him.
Well, totally, Phil. And also, before we get on to the moment, you're thinking behind the substitution, because we've just been chatting about it here in the studio, because I think a lot of people at that stage, when they see a centre-half being withdrawn, would have expected you perhaps to go for Sam Smith, but you went for Ollie. So what was behind your thinking, first of all?
Yeah, I think, you know, sometimes, you know, if you have too many strikers on the pitch, you lack any kind of cohesion. And we just flipped to a diamond with Ollie on the left of it, and Longy and Barney advanced full-back, still wing-back positions really. So that was my thinking, you know, could Ollie produce a moment of inspiration? And he certainly did.
And we've seen him do that before, haven't we, right at the death a couple of times last season, both with right foot and left foot. I guess you've had to try and work out when's the moment to bring Ollie Rathbone back into Championship football, because you gave him a run out against Cardiff. We've seen him a bit on the bench since, but he's not come off it. Did you see something in training this week that you thought he's ready?
Well, I think with Ollie, and I have to say this, and I just said in the dressing room to the lads that, you know, whether he's in the team, on the bench, not on the bench, his attitude is unbelievable. You know, he trains so well every day. He's a great example for what we need, and because we're going to have to rotate the squad as we continue through this season, and he's been absolutely brilliant in the way he's conducted himself, and he deserved that moment. Listen, we've got a lot of good midfield players. Tomo didn't even get on the pitch today. You know, Sheafy we left on the bench, so it's been difficult for Ollie competition in there. But we know he's got moments of quality, like he showed. He got goals for us last year. He's our Player of the Year, and it's now in December, and it's his first taste of Championship action. But I can assure you there'll be more to come from him.
And just to pick out a couple of other players who returned to your starting 11 today, Josh Windass and Matty James combining for that first goal. We've seen Matty James has got that inch-perfect ball in his locker, and we saw it again today. Yeah, I mean, we said to the lads before the game that, you know, we need to have runners in behind. We needed to impact the back line of Watford, you know, more than we did Wednesday. I'm not getting over the top about Wednesday, but, you know, you can't play in front of teams, and we're at our best when we've got runners in behind, and then we play into feet. And I think that goal typified what we wanted. It was a great bit of movement from Josh and a fantastic finish. So, yeah, I think it typified, you know, when we're at our best, we've got that mixture where we can stretch teams and then we can play short into those players in pockets. And I felt we got that pretty much right for that first period in the game today. Well, Phil, well done on the point. Onwards to Swansea on Friday. Thanks very much for joining us as ever on Matchday Live. Enjoy your tea. Wrexham manager Phil Parkinson reflecting on a point hard-earned, perhaps could have been more on another day. Wrexham very good for long periods, and bar a couple of unlikely lapses defensively, which cost a couple of first-class goals, a performance otherwise which Wrexham will be proud of, I think, and as I say, on another day may have yielded more. Phil clearly delighted me for Ollie Rathbone. I know as manager, and many managers in the game have a similar mindset. You always want to see players who've had long injuries to make strong returns from it. Every player that picks up a knock, particularly it's a bad injury, you wonder what they're going to be like when they come out the other side. I could see in Phil's eyes there, he was 100% pleased that Ollie Rathbone had such an impact.
Yeah, you know, I think he's just so loved, isn't he, down this place, and you can feel that. For me, I thought, you know, that's probably the biggest reception I think we've seen so far this season for a substitute. Obviously, we've had so many new players through the door this season, and people are still building their relationships in terms of that fan to player relationship. And, you know, Ollie Rathbone, you know, hearing the Ollie around the stadium, I think that would have given him the world of good in terms of that confidence and that extra adrenaline. I'm not sure he needed much more when he was coming on already, because I'm sure he was desperate to get his first few minutes in the Championship, no matter what probably the score was. But, you know, he is just so well liked and adored around this place, and the reason for that is not only because of what he can do on the pitch like he's shown today, but like Phil says, his overall character and his attitude and what he brings to this squad and this team, because I think that's clear to see for everyone, really.
I got the sense from Phil that he's really pleased as well, not just for Ollie but for the team, because they needed to come back from a poor performance on their standards from Wednesday, and they really did. They took the game to Watford, they really had a go, and again the last minute winner, etc., that they deserved really at least a point today. So I think he's pleased with not just the result at the end of the day, but the performance was good as well.
And of course, Swansea up on Friday, and then we get into the very hectic season around Christmas, of matches coming every 3 days. I guess one of the challenges for Phil Parkinson now will be not pushing Ollie Rathbone back into a starting jersey too soon. Plenty of midfield options, of course. As he said, George Thomason didn't even get on today. But the challenge will be, and the pressure perhaps will be, well, look, Ollie Rathbone's come back. We've only needed him for 2 minutes, and look at the impact he's made. The temptation will be to give him a lot of game time. The challenge will be not doing too much too soon.
Yeah, but they're experienced in that. You know, we've seen that before with players. You know, not rushing them back in, taking time. There being a clear process in managing their fitness. And Ollie Rathbone will know that as well. You know, I think obviously he'll be eager to start the next game, to be starting at the Swansea.com. But at the same time, he'll know that for the long-term future and his long-term fitness, you know, that's not necessarily probably applicable. But like you say, I mean, you know, there's so many numbers in that midfield role sort of at the moment. I mean, Lewis O'Brien, he could have had a couple of goals again today. You know, talk about some of those chances early on. Like Phil said, I think they were probably the chances he was alluding to. You know, those ones where it's just fallen to him a couple of times in the box, and he's maybe just not quite made the correct strike on the ball. But you know, again, I think that's somewhere that Ollie Rathbone can be looking at, going, well, if he's not going to take his chances, I'm going to make sure I do.
Let's have a look then at the results from around the division today in the Championship. There were, of course, 3 matches at lunchtime today. We brought you the details of those games pre-match, but we've got the chance now to look across all the results from the Championship today and see where it leaves the Championship table at the end of it. So the early games, we talked about Norwich's victory over Southampton, Preston's win at Oxford, and Stoke's win against Swansea. Birmingham all square with Charlton. Charlton have had a horrible run of late, so that stems the tide for them. Coventry City are back on it after, by their standards, a couple of stumbles in recent weeks with that 1-0 win over Bristol City. Leicester City with a 3-1 win over Ipswich. Their form has been patchy this season, but Leicester banking a very solid home win there. Middlesbrough beating QPR, who've been in good nick of late, by 3-1. So Middlesbrough continue to put the pressure on Coventry. The loss of Rob Edwards not having the impact that some Middlesbrough fans feared it might. Millwall losing at home to Hull, showing that their victory over Wrexham in midweek was no fluke. Not many clubs going to the Den at the moment and picking up victories, but Hull doing exactly that today. Portsmouth have struggled of late. Good win for them, 2-1 against Blackburn Rovers, who are struggling for momentum, and we know what happened here. Wrexham and Watford all square at 2 each. Mia, shaking your head at those results. Is that in sheer... you can never predict the Championship?
No, I don't know why it still surprises me. I just run out of superlatives to sort of describe this league. I just think, you know, every week you sort of look at a team and go, right, well, they look in good shape at the moment. I think they'll probably progress and go on a decent run. And, you know, just looking at it there, obviously the Norwich one to me stands out after Southampton being, you know, in really good form as of late. But there's a number of them in there. Obviously, I know Coventry, Middlesbrough have obviously continued in their form, but it just feels like it's so open, and there's just not going to be that level of consistency like we've probably seen in previous years in obviously the lower leagues, and that makes it really interesting. I think that gives this side probably a real sort of, you know, fire in their belly, going, well, you know, if no one else is going to go on good runs, that we've already been on a very good run when you look at that 9 unbeaten streak, and you think, well, why can't we do that again and really climb up that table?
Andy?
Yeah, I'm the same. I look at the Leicester game there, you know, Ipswich going really well, and we'll probably be seeing those top 2 spots and going, we can get in there, and we're chasing Middlesbrough down, and then they go to Leicester and get beat. Yeah, I just think we just have to look at this league and go, we'll just take each Saturday as it comes, because that's what it seems to be. It's like the first game of the season every weekend at the moment, because everybody wants to do, you know, beat everybody, and it can end up in anything. And so as long as we look after ourselves, I think the main important thing is that Phil Parkinson looks at his team and goes, right, how do we play today? How are we going to look now over the next 5 games coming up to this Christmas period? Who am I going to look at? We talked about Ollie Rathbone training right and being a perfect professional over these last few months when he's been injured. But he'll be on an absolute cloud cuckoo land, you know, over the next 5-6 days, ready for Swansea, and he'll be training even harder. And I think George Thomason will be the same, and Phil will have to monitor this and see where and how to gauge and who to put in at the right time to optimise the team's performances.
Yes, plenty of decisions ahead for Phil Parkinson to manage that squad, as Andy mentions. Games coming thick and fast, starting from Boxing Day, which is going to be our next match day live, 5:30 UK kickoff, when Wrexham take on Sheffield United, who'd been on a good run of late until this weekend. Chris Wilder back in his 3rd spell at Bramall Lane. guiding Sheffield United away from relegation concerns. But that will be a tough battle for Wrexham against a team who they came up against a couple of years ago in 2 epic FA Cup ties, which I'm sure you will remember. So that's on the 26th, and then back-to-back home games with Preston North End coming here on the 29th of December. That's a 7:45 kickoff UK time. So 2 back-to-back home games to look forward to. Before that, of course, Swansea City on Friday night, the last fixture for Wrexham before Christmas, a Welsh derby down in southwest Wales, and that will definitely be a tricky trip on the road for Phil Parkinson's side. Topsy-turvy this division continues to be. Then let's have a look at the Championship table at the end of today's fixtures. We'll have a look at that actually a little bit later in the show. So we'll see then where Wrexham come out after today's draw with Watford. But Coventry City, Andy, your old club, continuing to set a pace. And I think as we get nearer and nearer to Christmas, most people observing this league will start to think, well, Coventry look like they've got one of these places sewn up already in terms of promotion.
Well, we would have said that 3 or 4 weeks ago, that 10 points clear and absolutely flying, but that's been nipped back to 5. So
A little bit.
Yeah, they've had a couple of results that are a bit odd, but yeah, I still think they've got enough to go. I think they're a real quality outfit, function very, very well. They're very slick in the way they play. They've got a bit of pace all over the pitch, and they've got real quality. So I think they're the ones to chase down, definitely. And if they can just maybe get to January, maybe put another 2 new players in there just to give the group a really big boost, then they'll probably have enough to maybe take one of those spots.
And Middlesbrough continuing the chase, Mia, as well, looking in good form.
Yeah, really good form. I think, like you said about obviously Edwards, moving on, I think that could have sent them, either way really, whether they were going to spiral or whether it was going to actually kick him on and make him go, you know what, let's show him, have that little bit of fire in your belly, like you say, and they're really doing that at the moment. But again, like Andy says, the gap's certainly closed a little bit more, hasn't it?
It certainly has. Now then, I can see there's a man ready to make his appearance in Matchday Live. Ollie Rathbone, a very good evening to you. Lovely to see you. I'm not sure we've ever had a guest on Matchday Live from the playing staff who's just played for 2 minutes out of a 96-minute game, or maybe a few more than that in the end with the injury time. But your impact was so much, Ollie, we really wanted to have you on the show. So thank you for joining us. What on earth does that feel like for a few minutes of a cameo?
Yeah, it was good. Meant a lot. Obviously, it's been a really difficult season for me so far. So yeah, it was quite an emotional moment really, but yeah, really pleased.
Had Phil warmed you up to the fact he might want you on latterly in the game, or was it quite a quick process from being told you're on to running out there in the 90th?
Yeah, no, it didn't preempt me at all, just kind of looked at me late on, and I think they changed the shape a little bit. And yeah, it was that really, so I just had to make sure I've been ready.
When you've been going through in your mind, thinking about your return to grass and playing here, obviously you had your opportunity a few weeks ago in the Carabao Cup. Do you try and visualise a moment like that where you might get an opportunity to suddenly have the joy of a goal in front of your home fans so soon after getting your first opportunity in a Championship game?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, when I ruptured my ankle in Australia, that was kind of in my mind. I wanted to get back and have that moment. It's been in my mind a lot, but obviously recently, over the last few months, it's felt a lot further away than I wanted it to. So yeah, it does mean a lot. It's not really quite hit me yet.
You seem to strike the ball really sweetly. We've seen you do that with both left and right foot with some of your previous goals for Wrexham. When you made the connection, were you confident then it was going to go in?
Yeah, I think so. I think with all my finishing, I always just try and keep it low and hit the target and just hope for the best. Obviously, it felt like it took an age to come to me, and it took ages, but it just allowed me that time to just compose myself and just concentrate.
I bet you couldn't believe it though, could you? When you saw it going in, the crowd going wild, you'd literally had 2 minutes on, back onto the field of play again. It must have been a kind of, did that really happen moment?
Yeah, but that's what's been frustrating for me all season, because I feel like I could have done a lot more of that. So, when you just get a little cameo, you've got to make them little moments count, and I'm very grateful that I did today.
Will this give you the injection now, Ollie, to say, this is now going to set me on my way and I'll put more into the second half of the season than I could have done in the whole of the first half that I've now missed?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of out of my hands. Ever since I've been back fit, I've been training really hard and just doing my best to make sure that when I do come on, I'm ready to make an impact.
What's it been like in that dressing room afterwards? Does it feel like a win in there?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's aspects of the performance that we're disappointed with and we can do better with, but on the whole, there's that spirit that's always been here to stay in the game and then to get something out of it. If you're not at your best, make sure you don't lose, that type of thing.
Have you set yourself any targets for the second half of the season, either in terms of goals, minutes, anything like that?
Yeah, probably play more than 10 minutes, yeah. It's probably the big one.
Fair enough.
Yeah, obviously I just want to feel like part of this team, and over the first half of the season I've not really felt like that at times, felt like a bit of a spare part, which isn't nice for me or for anyone. So yeah, I just want to kind of get back in and help the team and just feel part of it again.
Is this injury the longest injury period you've had in your career?
Yeah, the one I had in Australia, that was like a 10-week, that's the longest one I've had, and then obviously missed the whole pre-season, so trying to get back to match speed. I've had a few hiccups along the way, but for the last 3 or 4 weeks I've trained flat out and feeling really good. I think I'm in a good position now for the rest of the season.
I know it's hard to judge on 10 minutes in one game, but compared to your previous time in the Championship with Rotherham, did things feel different today, or was this back to the Championship kind of pace that you're used to and that you've played in so many times before?
Yeah, obviously I've not been playing, but I've been watching a lot of the Championship this season, and I think we've got a really, really good squad. I don't think there's ever been any team that I've seen thinking, wow, they're miles ahead of us. I think once the team continues to gel, because we've had a massive turnover this summer, I think once we continue to click, I think there's more to come from us.
You talk about the turnover. You're one of the players who brings the continuity. How does the dressing room feel now with the different faces in it compared to some of the faces in it last year? Is it noisier, quieter?
No, I think the camaraderie is still there. I think there's still a great feeling about the group. Obviously, at first it was different because we had a massive turnover of players, but I think the new lads have really bought into like the culture and what it's like to be a Wrexham player.
Well, Ollie, thanks for coming to join us, and thanks for sending 10,000 people into a cold December night a heck of a lot happier than if you hadn't come on in the 90th minute today. Really good to see you again.
Cheers, thank you.
Wrexham midfielder Ollie Rathbone giving us his reflections after his short cameo off the bench and crucial late goal earned Wrexham a point this afternoon, and reminded the racecourse faithful of what quality he brings and what an option he is for Wrexham. Almost like a new signing, Mia, to have Ollie back in the ranks.
Yeah, and I think he's quite open there about how difficult it's been for him, not just obviously physically, not just being able to join the team, but also mentally, what that does to you, especially after what was just such an impressive season last year for him. And I'm sure he felt on top of the world, and then to pick it up in pre-season when you're just building back up again. And like he says, he obviously got fit from that injury again, and then there was a few just little hiccups and knockbacks which again just push you back even further, and they're the ones that really challenge you, I think, mentally, in my opinion. So he deserves a lot of credit for getting over that, but I'm sure he'll say himself he won't just be happy with that. He'll want to go again and put a real mark on this team, not just today but for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think you can hear the frustration in his voice. Not mentally, it's difficult when you're injured because of your injury, but when you're back fit and you're flying and you're training well and hard and you're still not getting minutes, that's when it's even harder, because you're just waiting for either somebody else's misfortune of getting an injury or a sending off or whatever, it's suspension, whatever it might be. And that's so hard mentally to just keep going and keep going in every day and training really hard, ready and waiting. And from what Phil says and what he says, it has been challenging, but he's certainly done it the professional way, and he's done really well with it. And I'm so pleased for him because he was so good last year.
Absolutely, yeah. Player of the season. And of course his versatility, Mia, is another aspect. He could play left of that midfield three, right of that midfield three. We've even seen him play in the number 10 role before. So he just gives Phil so many options, doesn't he, for this busy Christmas period?
Yeah, and for me, right at the top of that list is his goal scoring attributes that we obviously saw a number of times last season. I think that's something, maybe you look at this current midfield, Lewis O'Brien, I think, on 3. I think the only other midfielder to have a goal to his name is Dobson on 1. Obviously Thomason maybe could have had one from that corner, but it was almost was taken away. So we'll say he's not in that category at the moment. So I think that's somewhere where you're looking at this team at the moment going, well, if we can get a few more goals from that midfield 3, then that can only benefit us as well going forward.
Andy, we were catching up pre the show today, and you'd been chatting to Jay Rodriguez about his rehab, and you were saying that it was good that Jay had Andy Cannon, Danny Ward alongside, and there was players rehabbing together. I got the impression from Ollie when he said there about being a spare part that the longevity of time he's been out, it's probably gone beyond that point of camaraderie of rehab to just being utterly fed up with not playing and desperate to get back out there. And I guess as a top pro, it's what you do. It's your bread and butter. You miss the adrenaline. You must miss so many aspects of being part of a successful team.
Yeah, and when he says he feels out of it a little bit, it's just because you're not affecting anything. You're not doing what you're paid to do. You're just watching from afar. And I was speaking to Jay Rodriguez. It looks like he's back out on the grass with Andy Cannon, which is amazing news. It looks like they're hoping to try and get a little bounce game in at the back, just a reserve game to get some minutes in before Christmas, which would be a real big bonus for a lot of people out there. But when you are injured and you're watching and you're not doing what you want to do, it's so frustrating, and you can tell that Ollie is desperate to, when I am fit, I want to be part of this team, and if I'm not going to be, then I might not want to be here, and I think that's the frustration coming out of him.
Mia, Swansea away then on Friday night. What sort of atmos are you expecting Wrexham to walk into in West Wales?
Yeah, I think it'll be a tasty one, to be fair, from the looks of ticket sales and stuff. I think we're right up there in terms of their ticket sales to when they played Man City in the Cup as well. So I think, that shows there's certainly a desire for people to come and watch the old Wrexham. So no, I think it'll be a good one. Obviously under new management, I know they've lost today, but they were on a good little bounce, a good few wins on the bounce. So I think it's certainly an interesting one to see how they line up. I haven't watched too much of them so far under Matos's tenure. So. But I think that's a really interesting appointment as well. Someone who's not relatively been in the management game. Obviously was one of Klopp's sort of students, if you like, in behind him at Liverpool, but seems to have a lot of that sort of Klopp charisma. I've seen a few of his interviews, and they released a bit of his changing room talk at full time from the game the other day, and I sort of felt like I wanted to play for him the way he was talking. So they'll certainly have a fair bit of desire behind them, but hopefully, we can get some points in that one.
Might get a chance to see my old mate Lee Trundle as well down there.
Did you play with him?
Sometime.
Once or
couple
twice.
of games.
Mia, Andy, great to see you both. Thank you very much. Both off to Swansea on Friday?
Hope so.
Absolutely,
Mad
yeah.
Friday.
Mad Friday.
Pardon?
Mad Friday.
Mad Friday, yeah. We'll take care on the road. And we'll see you back here on Boxing Day as well. So Wrexham squaring up to Watford this afternoon, trying to get onto that winning path again after the unbeaten run came to an end against Hull City. Despite having much of the better of the game, Wrexham found themselves 2-1 down late into it. It looked like they were going to get well and truly stung by the Hornets. But up stepped a man who we hadn't seen in Championship football so far this season. Just before Christmas coming round the corner. No, not Ivy, not Holly, but Ollie. Raise a glass to Rathbone tonight. Wrexham are back and running again at home, and Ollie is back and scoring again. Have a fantastic Christmas. We'll see you on Boxing Day. Nadolig llawn, diolch am wylio, and we'll see you very soon indeed. From all of us at the Stoke Kairas, good night.